The safety is off. There's a round in the chamber. This is Armed Alabama. Sponsored by McCoy Outdoor Company, Mobile's hometown full-line outdoor sporting products and gear store. An interactive talk show discussing self-defense, product reviews, shooting tips, safety, and more. Your calls, comments, and texts welcome at 343-0106. Now, here are your hosts, retired judge and certified NRA instructor Rusty Johnston and certified NRA law enforcement instructor Adam Strange.
And your clothes, your boots, and your motorcycle. You forgot to say please.
And we never forget to say please here on Armed Alabama. Good evening. Welcome to the June 21st edition of Armed Alabama. I'm retired Circuit Judge Rusty Johnston. Adam Strange is out tonight, but will be back with us next week. We talk about pistols, revolvers, rifles, shotguns, ammunition, concealed carry, personal defense training, and attacks on our God-given right to protect ourselves and our families. You'll get no PC here, no Marxism, and if you're looking for NPR's All Things Considered, you've turned into the wrong place. Besides, I think that closed down when Providence did. Now, yesterday was the first day of summer, the summer solstice. Some people say that it's the longest day of the year, but that's false. All days are 24 hours long. Some people also say that you can stand an egg on one end that day, but that's another myth. Our topic tonight is going to be a general continuation of what we talked about last week. How to survive a mass shooting. Plus, if we have the time, we're going to go into what was done right and what was done wrong down in Orlando. Now, remember, we're going to take your calls and texts here at FM Talk 1065 studio at 251-343-0106. That's 251-343-0106. And that's on the mass shootings, how to survive, the Orlando shooting, or on any firearms-related question. Now, you may or may not know that the NRA tried to sell us all out last week by making a deal with the Republicans in Congress and with Mr. Trump. The deal would be that anyone who was on the so-called terror watch list or no-fly list would be forbidden to purchase a firearm. The problem with that is that Obama came up with this list. It's illegal and unconstitutional. We have no idea the criteria to be placed on this list. We have no idea who places the person on the list. There's no administrative review to get on or off the list. And, of course, there's no judicial review. Personally, I don't trust Obama and his cronies or anyone associated with them to create a secret terror watch list because we know, as firearms owners, we're likely to be the first people to put on such a list. Remember how President Obama used the IRS to develop a list and audit conservative groups? Remember Fast and Furious? This should be non-negotiable. And the NRA and the Republicans in Congress should draw the line on it, and I understand all that's broken down, so that's good. But remember, the right to travel has been held to be a fundamental constitutional right, just like the Second Amendment. The Supreme Court held that in Kent v. Dulles, and that's a 1958 case. For all we know, all owners of more than, let's say, 3 or more firearms could be placed on that list. And just like the list that they check when they call the FBI to see if you're clean when you buy firearms, there are a lot of false positives to their list. You can't have your driver's license revoked without what we call going through procedural due process. And generally, procedural due process means the following. You have to have an unbiased tribunal notice of what they propose to do. Hey, we want to put you on a no-fly list. the opportunity to present reasons why it should not happen, the right to call witnesses on your own behalf, the right to know what the evidence is against you, and the right to have the decision based exclusively on the evidence presented, the right to have a lawyer, the right to have a record made, and the availability of statement for the reasons that they are making the decision. You also have the right to have that in public, and if you lose, to have a judicial review. You have that right when you have a driver's license revocation. And yet, with this so-called no-fly or terror review list, none of those are applicable. Now, not all those apply to every type of hearing, but generally, that's the requirements of procedural due process. To have your Social Security disability benefits cut off, you have to have procedural due process. Now, we're going to go into gun-free zones, and as I told people, they said, what is the best way to survive a mass shooting incident? Don't go into a gun-free zone. That's the best way, because almost without exception, these massacres have taken place at gun-free zones. This nightclub down in Orlando was a gun-free zone. Florida law says a place that primarily serves alcohol, you can't carry your firearm into the gun-free zone. Even if you're not drinking, you can't do it. So it was a gun-free zone. Probably tomorrow, I'll be putting up 2 or 3 articles about how to survive a mass shooting if you don't have a weapon or if you have a weapon. And just look on there. I think we have a tab that says legal. A couple of things to consider, though, is that one of the things the shooter and the patrons did that were incredibly ignorant was they say the shooter killed a record number of people. Yeah, he did, and that's horrible. But it took him 3 hours to do that. We've had some shooters that have killed 27 people in 12 minutes. He took 3 hours. Meanwhile, he's posting to his Facebook account, surfing the web. He made 19 telephone calls, ample opportunity to rush him or escape. The problem was the patrons were also going to Facebook and posting, surfing. It's incredible. Nobody was focused on the incident. Everybody was focused on their darn smartphones instead of what was going on. That's not what you do. You need to focus on either escaping, evading escaping, or rushing him, not checking the Facebook sites and telling all your friends what's going on, because it's deadly serious. Now, the shooter had surveilled the nightclub, so obviously he knew what was going on. But as I said, the patrons, there are plenty of examples of patrons rushing shooters and taking him down. You may be the one that gets shot, but most people who get shot a single gunshot wound and get medical treatment survive. Now, it's hard to fault the police for their actions. After Columbine, the matrix kind of changed. We're not going to stand back and and we're going to go in immediately. That's if you think there's shooting still taking place. If you think the shooting stopped and hostages are being held, then you back off and try to negotiate. That's what they did down there. But it's just very strange what happened. And we're lucky everybody wasn't killed. I think because this guy, while not insane, was just a little cuckoo. But the average shooting incident is over in 12 minutes. And that's pretty quickly. They hardly ever are over in 3 or 4 hours. We're going to be stepping into a break in a minute. Remember, we've got a call waiting. We'll get him after the break. Our number here is 251-343-0106. 343-0106. You can text to that number or call. And this is Judge Rusty Johnston without Adam Strange here tonight. And we will be taking your calls and texts on any firearms questions, but would like to talk about active shooters and how to avoid getting killed in an incident. We'll be back after these breaks from our sponsors.
Looking for land, commercial space, or a home to purchase? Or do you have real estate that you would like to sell? Then you need to talk with Mamoon Siddiq at REMAX Partners 7221 Grelot Road, Suite B. Mamoon is dedicated to providing his clients trustworthy real estate expertise and professional, dependable service. Whether buying or selling your primary residence or a second home or relocating to a new neighborhood, Mamoon can help make your home ownership dreams come true. Email Mamoon at remax.net. That's MAMUN at remax.net. If your spine is in a bind, it's time to be aligned. For 20 years, Dr. Justin Foster has been diagnosing and taking care of spinal problems. Misaligned vertebrae can hurt due to a strain or sprain from an accident, or be injured by repeated use and can lead to a pinched nerve if not fixed. Pinched nerves can cause a series of discomforts, including decreased flexibility, headaches, muscle, joint, disc, and nerve pain. Foster Chiropractic of Tillman's Corner, easy to find across from Lowe's off Rangeline.
Step up to the firing line. Armed Alabama is back. Questions, comments, and texts at 343-0106.
I mean to kill you in 1 minute, Ned, or see you hanged in Fort Smith at Judge Parker's convenience. Which will it be?
I call that bold talk for a one-eyed fat man.
I told you we were no PC here, calling somebody a one-eyed fat man. You know, in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. Welcome back to Welcome back to Armed Alabama. Let's take our first call, and we have Earl on the line. Earl, how can we help you?
Hey, Your Honor, how you doing?
Fine. How about you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. I was wondering, I thought I heard you say that you could talk about ammunition and this, that, and the other.
We'll talk about any firearms-related matter you've got tonight.
Why is it so hard to find 22 mags? And why is it so hard to find number 4 lead shot anymore around turkey season?
Yeah. On the 22...
And I'll hang up and listen.
Okay,
Thank you.
Sure. I think it's hard to find 22 Magnums because... that caliber, they're just not making a lot of guns for it now. And because they're not making a lot of guns for it now, they're shifting their manufacturing capabilities to other ammunition. I think it's a good round, but they don't have a lot of guns for it. And a lot of people recently have bought the Kel-Tec pistol. I can't think of the name, but it does shoot 22 Magnums. And so a lot of people want 22 Magnums, and they're just not available. And that's going to create a problem. And on the number 4s, that's kind of the same thing. If you're a 16-gauge shotgun shooter, you'll have a hard time finding those, especially if your shotgun is chambered for we'll call it 2.5, 2 9/16. That's kind of the old classic. You'll have a hard time finding those. They go with what's popular, and that's what they put their manufacturing in. I was thinking earlier, everybody wants to get back to the environment. If they still made shotgun shells out of paper like they did when I was young, that'd be great. Then they get ejected out and nobody picks them up. They gradually decompose, but now they're the hard plastic, and I'm sure in 300 or 400 years they'll decompose. But when they were the plastic or the cardboard, they decompose in a year or two. So that's too bad. But, yeah, the manufacturing people, they go where the money is, and unfortunately they don't think it's at 22 Magnums. For a long while, you couldn't get 22 long rifle. But I remember we used to have a gun that would shoot 22 shorts, and there wasn't any problem buying those. But now ammunition generally, compared to the cost of everything, has gotten pretty cheap. Used to be pretty expensive 30 or 40 years ago when you compared it with the cost of everything else, but it's gotten fairly cheap. Now, let me get back to our shooting down there and just go over a few points to make. Avoid gun-free zones. That's one of the things you want to do. Now, in the state of Alabama, you can carry, if you have a concealed carry permit or permit, you can carry your firearm into a nightclub. I would not recommend doing that if you're planning on tying one on, obviously. If you're the designated driver, sure. Or if you're going to have, it generally takes one drink an hour to keep you at the point that you are just under the safe level to drive. I would say if you're going to have one drink every hour and a half and that you're that disciplined, go ahead, you can carry your firearm. Now, you're going to have to explain if you shoot someone why you had alcohol in your system, but if you are safe enough to drive, you're safe enough to shoot, probably. It's better than being dead. At least you can explain it to somebody. But you can do that. The latest law removed that restriction, and a local sheriff cannot put an extra restriction on your pistol permit. We've got another call. I believe it's from Johnny. Let's go ahead. And you've asked about a question. I'm getting ready to take. Johnny, go ahead, and I've got an answer for you, I think.
Yeah. I've been trying to get a hold of you and Adam recently about this gun class you told me about on the 25th.
Yeah, and I'm waiting, and I just got the answer today. Adam actually has an illness in his family, and I was waiting to see if it resolved, and so I just made that decision about 2 hours ago. We're gonna have to put it off a couple of weeks. I don't want to push him, and my son, who helps us, is going to be out of town this weekend. So anybody that wants the class, that was going to take the class this weekend, I'm sorry to put you off, but until that resolved, and you always have wishful thinking. So just everybody stay put, and we'll schedule something. Hope we can't do it on the 4th, but within the next 3 or 4 weeks after that.
Okay. Now, one quick question though is where is it at exactly?
Well,
where do you guys have them?
Yeah, we're going to have them at several areas. Right now, we're having them at a place called Three Brothers Shooting Range. It's in Stapleton, and that Stapleton. Where's that? I tell you, this time of year, the best way to get there is to go on I-65 north to Bay Minette, then cut south, and if you're in, let's say the Spring Hill area, I'll just pick a central spot. It takes about 35 minutes to get over there. But if you go the I-10 way on Saturday, you may get stuck in a lot of traffic because all those condominiums switch their weekly rentals Saturday morning, or we're actually about noon Saturday, and it gets real crowded on that Bayway. So that's the place to avoid Saturday mornings. Okay. Is the Bayway, yeah.
So whenever you guys do have another class, it will be at the Three Brothers range in Stapleton? Yeah,
we're working on another location. We'll have one in Mobile and one over there, but in the next 2 or 3 weeks, the one over here is not going to be ready.
Now, where can somebody go to stay up to date on that?
You can go to our website, and that's in this show, but the website's the best place to go, and that's armedalabama.com.
All right. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for reminding me of that. I kind of hate to broadcast people's personal information. It's nothing serious, but, as I said, you always think you're going to get well tomorrow, and when you get a certain age, that just really doesn't happen. And he didn't need that kind of stress on him knowing they had to teach a class this weekend. So that's when I said, hey, let's cancel it. Everybody will understand it's so darn hot anyway that I just soon put them off to the fall. But, you just don't need that kind of thing. And my son, who does our website and all, is going to Atlanta this weekend, and I would rather not do it without him because I'm getting too old to drag around a bunch of heavy equipment. It's just that ain't going to do for us. Now, getting back to some of the studies, after one of these shootings, people think one's going to happen every week. There's an overblown fear of these attacks. One thing we've learned is that there is no connection, there's no cause and effect relationship between video games, playing video games, and kids, young people growing up and becoming mass shooters. Oh, yeah, most mass shooters played video games, but most people now play them. Now, I'm probably one of the only people you've ever talked to who's never played a video game, never watched Seinfeld, and there I could give you a list of things I've never heard of or never done. But I'm just odd. Most people do those things. It's like there's no causal relationship between drinking water and having a heart attack. For example, everybody who dies of a heart attack has had a drink of water the 24 hours prior to that. But the water doesn't cause the heart attack. There's just a relationship between it because that's life. Everybody drinks water. So they don't cause the mass shootings, the playing of the video games. The violence on TV doesn't cause them. If you want to look, what I think it may be a connection, look up the term amok, A-M-O-K. Remember whether it's an E or not. But Captain Cook in the 1700s discovered something called running amok in the Micronesia. And it's very similar to what our mass shootings are, except they do it with knives. Let's go ahead before our break's coming up and take Thomas. Hey, Thomas.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Judge. I've been following your career, and I have a specific question.
Go right ahead.
Weren't you in place when Herman Thomas and all his acknowledgments and everything was taken out of a county building?
Yes, I kind of discovered that. And by the way, he wants his bar license back, which he should never get that back. And write the state bar. I'll get the address in a moment because it was in the newspaper the other day.
Oh, no kidding.
No, he wants it back. Yeah.
But what I called for is you said that someone could drink a certain amount of alcohol. I think you said like an ounce and a half an hour.
Well, I said 90.
Okay.
Yeah,
to carry a gun.
No, what I said was that's what it takes to drive, and I recommend if you're going to drink, do that in 90 minutes, and then that'll keep you.
90 minutes.
Go ahead, sir. I couldn't quite hear you.
Oh, you said 90 minutes?
Right.
Okay, so you have how much alcohol in 90 minutes?
An ounce and actually ounce and a quarter, yeah.
An ounce and a quarter.
Or
and
a beer.
Will keep you okay to handle a gun?
Well, 0 level is fine, but if you're Louisiana has a statute that says if you're legal to drive, you're legal to use a gun. And I'm basing that on their statute, but going under that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I appreciate your new program on FM Talk.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night. And I'll get y'all that address in a moment. Y'all remember Herman Thomas, who should have been taken out by the Judicial Inquiry Commission, but they're real bad about playing favorites. He has applied to get his law license back. I don't think he should have it back. And they put the ad in the paper, and that will happen every year until people forget about it. So anybody that thinks like I do needs to go to the website, and that is www.alabar.org. Go there and go to the contact page, and it will give you all the information about how you can connect them. This is Rusty Johnston for Armed Alabama. We'll be back after the break.
When they're running down our country, man, they're walking on the fighting side of me. They're walking on the fighting side of me. Running down a way of life our fighting men have fought and died to keep. If you don't love it, leave it. Let this song that I'm singing be a warning. When you're running down.
FM Talk 106.5, the Gulf Coast Weather Authority, and Dr. Bill Williams.
We'll look for partly cloudy skies tonight with low temperatures in the upper 60s at daybreak. For Wednesday, sunny and dry with highs around 90. And the outlook for Thursday, sunny and warmer with afternoon temperatures in the lower 90s. This is meteorologist Dr. Boo Williams for FM Talk 1065.
FM Talk 1065, the Gulf Coast Weather Authority.
A passenger in the car when Michael Moore was shot and killed by a Mobile police officer says yes, Michael Moore did have a gun on him when he was shot. Hello, everyone. I'm Mel Showers, News 5 for FM Talk 1065. 19-year-old Robert Blackman told News 5 Moore told him the car they were in was stolen before he was shot and that Moore had a gun. But he says what happened after Moore exited the car is different than what police are saying. Blackman was in the back seat of the stolen Lexus. Meanwhile, the funeral for Michael Moore was held today at the Sweet Pilgrim Church in Mobile. The minister, Reverend Julius Bryant, offered words of comfort and called on everyone to have patience and to wait and see what the evidence proves. In other news, the owners of Bel Air Mall will be eligible for $7.5 million in tax breaks from the city of Mobile over the next 15 years. The city council approved the deal today. I'm Mel Showers, News 5 for FM Talk 1065.
Longleaf pine is the South's original pine tree, towering over all others. Vast clear-cutting logging operations in the first half of the last century destroyed these beautiful longleaf forests, some well over 100 years old. Their wood sent to New England, New York, and Europe. Many Southerners have no memory of the magnificent longleaf forests that covered the South. The America's Longleaf Restoration Initiative is a concerted effort to restore and conserve longleaf pine forests. The best part is, it's working. For more info, visit americaslongleaf.org. When buying a vehicle, don't waste your valuable time. David Parnell at Palmer's Toyota is committed to getting you the best deal on a new, used, or leased car. And David will do that without wasting your time. Don't play the back and forth game. See David Parnell today. Palmer's Toyota, 470 Schillinger Road South. That's David Parnell at Palmer's Toyota, 639-0800, extension 168. Don't forget to see David Parnell at Palmer's Toyota, Schillinger Road, just south of Airport. He won't waste your time.
Jack Green is here to talk to you about saving money on your insurance. Jack, where are you?
I'm on the roof.
Jack, I know you can save people money in a single bound, but you're taking this too far. Rick, this is dangerous. Where is he going?
Where no insurance agency has gone before.
The emergency room? Jack, come down immediately.
Okay, be down in a minute.
Rick, I was talking with someone just the other day who was telling me how their insurance rates have continued to go up every year. I told her she needed to call Jack Green Insurance and compare.
It's always smart to look at your insurance every year. Typically, insurance companies will just keep sending out the renewals, and the rate just keeps creeping up. Pretty soon, it's all over you. We offer business, commercial general liability. We do workers' comp, auto, homeowners.
Well, Jack, I see you've decided to join us. You've missed the entire commercial. What took you so long?
I got my cape stuck in the door again.
Super Jack needs to stay inside from now on.
Wait a minute.
The Jack Green Insurance Agency in Mobile, 344-5393.
Step up to the firing line. Armed Alabama is back. Questions, comments, and texts at 343-0106.
I like you, Philip. But be assured, bite my hand, and I will put you down. Your division is in charge of native crime. Or would you rather I was in charge of native crime? I don't think you'd like my methods.
All right, welcome back to Armed Alabama. This is retired Circuit Judge Rusty Johnston filling in, hosting the show entirely tonight because Adam Strange is out due to an illness in his family. We're talking generally about the shooting down in Florida, how to avoid those type mass shootings, but we'll answer any of your firearms questions if you'll call or text them in at 251-343-0106. While I'm thinking about it, because I'm looking at their site, McCoy Outdoors is really a gem to have here in Mobile. As I did their ad at the top of the hour, it's Mobile's hometown outdoor sporting and gear store. Their prices on firearms are competitive with any other national chain in Mobile, And unlike the national chains, who may have a guy that worked in a Wendy's, honestly, 2 weeks before, you have people that have worked there for years selling firearms. They know what they're doing. In addition to firearms, they have, oh gosh, it's just hard to explain. First off, the largest selection of holsters you're ever going to see anywhere, and holsters are very, very important. But if you're into archery supplies down there, clothing, camping gear, clothes, shoes. The runners, the real runners, they go down there because they're people that know how to fit your shoe to your foot. Unlike some of the stores that are self-service where, you try to do it yourself, and if you're like me, you'll screw it up. So McCoy's is the place to go. We got to get somebody on from there one night to talk about them, their store. At one time, they were right downtown where Robert Moore, where the old Krispy Kreme was, on Government Street after they had gotten started. But McCoy Outdoors, for all your needs, they're on Spring Hill Avenue, just west of I-65, where the I-65 goes over Spring Hill Avenue, and the old K&B shopping center where we had yellow ribbons around the old oak tree when they were trying to cut them down. Great place to go to. McCoy Outdoors for all your sporting needs. One of the sponsors is the main sponsor of our show, and we really appreciate them. All right. Wanted to explain, a gentleman called and asked about our shooting class, and as I said, won't be this weekend, but it'll be a couple of weekends after that. We teach a type of shooting that's called close quarters combat shooting. Say, what in the world is that? Well, there are two types of shooting, 100 types of shooting, but generally I call two types of shooting. One is range or Olympic pistol shooting. That's where you get out there at, let's say, 25 feet, and you shoot at a static target. And that's fun, and it's good. You learn how to use your gun. But it's not going to help you much if you're in a gunfight. It's not going to help you if somebody jumps out with a knife and is on top of you. We teach a type. Now, we go through the fundamentals, and that includes just what I described. But what we also teach, we teach that at the very end of Self-Defense 1 and then into Self-Defense 2, is a type of shooting where you learn to draw very quickly, and your firearm, hopefully a semi-automatic, is right near your own ribs. You can it out, and you fire right there from just by your ribs. Your left, let's say you're right-handed. Your left hand is ready to go into action to push the criminal out of the way, gouge his eyes out, whatever. Your right hand has a hold of your semi-automatic, which is right at your ribs, and you're firing from that area. And the reason for that is most self-defense shootings are 5 feet or less. If you do the traditional way of shooting, you put your gun out in front of you a couple of feet like you would normally do if you were practicing, you're in a fight for your gun. And you're already in a bad situation then. You don't have to aim when you're doing this. In fact, you can aim because your gun isn't even near you. You will hit every time. But you got to be fast, and you got to fire 2 or 3 shots real fast. Person who wins the gunfight is the person who fires the most shots generally. Most gunfights last less than 4 seconds. The winner fires 3 to 4 shots, and it's over. But you got to be aware. You can't be looking at your smartphone all the time, because if you do that, you're dead. We've got a caller on the line, and it's Rodney. Let's go ahead and take his call. Yes, sir.
Can you carry a shotgun in your truck loaded at all times?
Can you carry a shotgun in your truck loaded at all times? No. I'm trying to think. Let me think through this. I do not think you can without a pistol. It seems stupid without a pistol permit. And let me look at the law I got it here in front of me. Now, you remember, of course, 30 years ago, everybody carried one in a rack. Behind the window. Of course, nobody would do that to now because they're afraid it gets stolen, and it probably would get stolen. The only reason I wouldn't do it for tactical reasons is swinging it out of the cab to fire it at somebody is so long. If you, of course, could buy one, you can buy a permit and get one. The 14-inch barrel. That'd be a little different thing. But you're asking me that specific question. You didn't ask me what other ones. But I'll tell you what I've got have a lot in my truck is I've got a little carbine called the Kel-Tec Sub 2000. The thing folds in half, and it takes my Beretta M9 magazines, but I don't have it folded in half most of the time, but it's 28 inches long, and it has a 34-round clip in it, magazine. There I go. And it plus my M9 has got a lot of firepower in it. But I'm going to answer your question in just a second. Are you talking about putting it in the rack on the back, or are you...
No, I'm talking about landing on the other seat.
Yeah.
Loaded.
I got you. Let me see. I think the answer is no, but I want to double check it.
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay.
What?
Okay, I'm just thinking to myself. Okay. It says pistol. It says except on land under his or her controller's abode, fixed place of business. No person shall carry a pistol in any vehicle or concealed in or about his or her person without a permit issued. It says pistol. So I tell you what, why don't you listen next week so I can make sure. But I think you're fine.
I have a pistol permit. I've had one for 30 years, probably.
Oh well, you're all right then. You're all right either way. But I still want to answer it for everybody else. I think you're all right if you didn't have one. Anyway, but go for it. Put buckshot in it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, interesting question. That makes me remember. If you have any questions about other states or this state, and you think, he's wrong, go to handgunlaw.us, and that's a website, and it has it's not just handgun laws, but that's the name of their website. It has the laws of about every state in the country, and it is www.handgunlaw, all one phrase, handgunlaw.us. And it'll have a map. You can hit the state you're interested in, and it will tell you what the law is in that state. It will tell you what states have reciprocal agreements here with the state of Alabama. It is a real wealth of information. It will tell you the few sites if you're stopped for speeding, that you have to tell the police, hey, I've got a firearm in the car. Because, generally we recommend if your handgun is not visible in plain sight, or it's not in a place that you're going to have to access during the traffic stop, that we recommend not telling the police you have one. And the reason for that is you may get the wrong police officer who just doesn't like people carrying firearms, and you may be there a long time. You want to tell them, that's your business. But I wouldn't personally, because I wouldn't want to be out there an extraordinary length of time to do that. Now, don't forget to go to our website, armedalabama.com. We have an archives there. You can listen to any of these past shows, download them. You can also do that, something else I've never done, at iTunes or a place called Stitcher. You can download them there, but never done that before. You can go to our YouTube channel, armedalabama.com. I'm about 2 weeks behind getting those up because I switched computers, and the Windows 10 I'm not quite as familiar with. Go over there and look at those. So you can stay up with us, and we also have tidbits we put up there to keep you up with the law, training, etc. wealth of information that we try to keep you up, as well as what some of the law is on these various subjects. But if you think I'm telling you something wrong, want to ask a question, you got about 10 minutes to call in with those firearms questions on Armed Alabama at 343-0106. 343-0106. This is Rusty Johnston for Armed Alabama. We're going to step into a break and be back in a moment.
Longleaf pine is the South's original pine tree, towering over all others. Vast clear-cutting logging operations in the first half of the last century destroyed these beautiful longleaf forests, some well over 100 years old. Their wood sent to New England, New York, and Europe. Many Southerners have no memory of the magnificent longleaf forests that covered the South. The America's Longleaf Restoration Initiative is a concerted effort to restore and conserve longleaf pine forests. The best part is, it's working. For more info, visit americaslongleaf.org. When buying a vehicle, don't waste your valuable time. David Parnell at Palmer's Toyota is committed to getting you the best deal on a new, used, or leased car. And David will do that without wasting your time. Don't play the back and forth game. See David Parnell today. Palmer's Toyota, 470 Schillinger Road South. That's David Parnell at Palmer's Toyota, 639-0800, extension 168. Don't forget to see David Parnell at Palmer's Toyota, Schillinger Road, just south of Airport. He won't waste your time. If your spine is in a bind, it's time to be aligned. For 20 years, Dr. Justin Foster has been diagnosing and taking care of spinal problems. Misaligned vertebrae can hurt due to a strain or sprain from an accident, or be injured by repeated use and can lead to a pinched nerve if not fixed. Pinched nerves can cause a series of discomforts, including decreased flexibility, headaches, muscle, joint, disc, and nerve pain. Foster Chiropractic of Tillman's Corner, easy to find across from Lowe's off Rangeline. Looking for land, commercial space, or a home to purchase? Or do you have real estate that you would like to sell? Then you need to talk with Mamoon Siddiq at REMAX Partners, 7221 Grelot Road, Suite B. Mamoon is dedicated to providing his clients trustworthy real estate expertise and professional, dependable service. Whether buying or selling your primary residence or a second home, or relocating to a new neighborhood, Mamoon can help make your home ownership dreams come true. Email Mamoon at remax.net. That's MAMUN at remax.net.
Step up to the firing line. Armed Alabama is back. Questions, comments, and texts at 343-0106.
I know what you're thinking. Did he fire 6 shots or only 5? Well, to tell you the truth, in all this excitement, I've kind of lost track myself. But being this is a .44 Magnum, the most powerful handgun in the world, and would blow your head clean off, you've got to ask yourself one question. Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
I don't think the punk felt lucky. If you remember that movie, he didn't go for the gun. We're back on Armed Alabama. Judge Rusty Johnston here. Last week we had a caller that asked about having his gun either nickel or chrome plated. And I knew there was a place in Alabama that did a lot of that work. Most people don't do that anymore. And if he is listening to us, the name of the place is APW, I guess it's APW Cogan, APWCOGAN. And they are in a town that I've never heard of before, Newville, Alabama. And I think it's probably best I'll give you a phone number. It's 334-585-9488. 334-585-9488. www.apwcogan.com. And that's all one phrase. As the prices and all, I think he asked price-wise, as I recall, a semi-automatic handgun was in the $225 range or something like that. So but check them out, because not many people do nickel plating. But if you've got a classic gun that's nickel, you want to try to do it like it came in nickel. It'd be a fine gun to have restored. As I was saying, I had have a Browning Auto 5 1928 version. I sent it to a man up in Missouri that used to work at the Browning plant. He re-blued it. He did it the old-fashioned way. Now, it costs, $350 or something, but, boy, it looks brand new. It is really neat. Oh, gosh, you destroyed the collector's value. They made a couple of million of those guns, so it has no collector's value. But it's nice for me to have it because I use the gun. And that's something that I want to look at, and it looks good. Instead of having scratches and have it, a little rust on it and all that kind of thing, I have it, and it looks good. I was talking earlier that there's always an uptick in fear after these type things happen. Your chance generally of being killed by a wasp or a bee, let's say there are more people, because that takes into account people that are allergic. More people are killed by wasp and bee stings every year than are killed in mass shootings. Let's put it that way. More people are killed in bathtub injuries, drownings, and fallings than are killed in mass shootings. Now, that didn't make anything right, but let's put everything in perspective. You can't live your whole life fearful that some Islamic fanatic nut is going to come in and start shooting up, Walmart where you are. There are areas where you can decrease your risk. Everybody knows that. But I was talking earlier about running amok. They've done a lot of studies on that. And for some reason, there are adolescents, 20-year-olds that are loners. Imagine that brooding, say to themselves that all of a sudden they'll pick up a machete and just run around the village and kill 10, 15 people before they're overpowered and killed. They've known about this for over 250 years. Very strange. I mean, it sounds just like the Adam Lanzas, the guy out at the Aurora Theater. Sounds just like that. And finally, they're kind of starting to compare that it's not the AR-15 clone jumping in somebody's hand and doing that. And by the way, the media started all this on one day. AR-15 is the choice of, white male lunatics and terrorists. Well, it's not. By almost 2-to-1 odds, pistols are the choice of mass killers rather than all rifles put together. It's not AR-15s. It's pistols. But every major media outlet had the same story on the same day because they had a political agenda. No question about it. But you can't correct them. They had that same idiotic, they don't even know how one operates, and they just keep pushing that. But what do you do about it? There's a point where, I proposed, if you want to keep that up, let's go ahead and limit the First Amendment for anybody who says certain things can't be on the airwaves anymore. I think it's fine if they want to repeal the Second Amendment. Let's repeal part of the First Amendment to say if someone says uses profanity on the air, then they can't ever be on a radio or television station anymore. How about that? Or if anybody continuously pushes false facts, they shouldn't be allowed to be on the air. How do you think they'd like that? I don't think very much. But they regard our rights as just disposable. And as I've said before, it wouldn't matter whether the Second Amendment was repealed or not. Your right to keep and bear arms comes from your right, natural right, your right, because you were born. You were born with certain natural rights. The Second Amendment, it was just put in there to keep the federal government from messing with us. You have that right anyway, like you have the right to travel. The Ninth Amendment speaks to that. And the courts have ruled the Ninth Amendment gives you the right to travel, gives you the right to raise your children as you see fit. You don't have to send them to a public school, courts have ruled. That's covered by the Ninth Amendment. And there are a number of rights that are covered under the Ninth Amendment because the framers realized we can't have a list that has 500 rights on it because we're going to forget something. And by the way, that doesn't cover let's say, same-sex marriage, because it's the rights that existed in 1787, not the rights that may develop over time. We don't have a living Constitution. We have the Constitution as it was adopted in 1789. That's the Constitution that we have, not one that, we're thinking about it now. Unfortunately, we have a bunch of left-wingers that are in our federal judiciary and our state judiciary that think that, whatever's good at the moment, that ought to become a right now. Now, I want to remind you, first of all, I want to thank our sponsors, David Palmer at Airport Toyota. I want to thank Mamoon Siddiq, Remax Partners, and I want to thank Dr. Justin Foster. If your spine is hurting, your back's hurting, go see him. We have our social media sites I'd love you to look at, armedalabama.com, our YouTube page, Armed Alabama, our Facebook page, Armed Alabama 1065. And we also started a users group. It is Harold Hurst, presumed innocent, regarding our police officer here that it looked like to me that he was going to be railroaded out of his job and charged. We've got that going pretty good. Go to that site. There's a lot of information. Harold Hurst, Hurst, presumed innocent. You can say, I want to join, and you'll be allowed to join because all the facts aren't being put out properly in that. We couldn't do this without our sponsors. We need one more, and we're on for 2 hours. Think we have it, but we can always use a backup. So if you got a business or you want to do it individually, thejudge@armedalabama.com. thejudge@armedalabama.com. We hope Adam and his family are doing well tonight, and we'll keep watching the website, and we'll tell you when our next class is. And next week, we'll have another exciting topic for you. If you want to listen to my other talk show, you go to www.ksgf.com, and it's in Springfield, Missouri, Saturday morning at 7 to 9, and you can hear me another time. That's a 2-hour talk show. We have a ball there, except I get the call letters confused sometimes. But until next week, this is Rusty Johnston for Armed Alabama, and we will see you then.
And I wonder just how long the rest of us can count on being free. They love our milk and honey, but they preach about some other way of living. And when they're running down our country, man,